Hey everybody, so this is Mr. Bowles for Life Science, 7th grade, on the Blue Custer, and this is the screencast for the accessory organs to digestion. So we're going to go over the mouth first because it has the salivary glands in it. It's the first accessory organ um, in the digestive system. You guys should be taking notes on this table. If you don't have it out in front of you already, please grab that out. It has the salivary glands, the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas all on it. So the description of your organ, you can just say salivary glands. I think that's a pretty good description of the organ. You could say it's like a spongy material. The physical digestion that happens with the saliva is really important in the process of digesting food. So it actually takes the ball of food, the bolus that's formed by your tongue, and you can see that is actually happening right here. All right, and it allows it to actually slip down the back of your throat through your esophagus. Okay, so the saliva is really important to help lubricate the food and get it down through the esophagus. So that's the physical digestion part. Okay, the actual chemical digestion part is where amylase comes in. Okay, so didn't mean to do that. All right, so amylase is the enzyme that's actually in the saliva that's put into your mouth. Okay, and it helps break down. If we have amylase, where is my? There it is. If we have amylase, you obviously know that the starch is amylose because ACE shows that it's an enzyme, and amylose, the OSE on the end of it, again that happened, is the starch, shows that it's a starch. Okay, so really those are the parts for the physical and chemical digestion. We've talked about this before in class. Alright, so let's check out the liver. Okay, here we have the liver and the gallbladder. Okay, so if we're talking about the liver, okay, the liver is the largest organ in the body. It's basically the size of a small football, and you guys can see right here, it's got this kind of orangish red, almost like a triangular shape to it. And it produces bile. This is the main thing that it does. It produces bile. Bile is this thick green liquid that helps chop the large fat droplets that come into your body, stuff that would be like saturated fat or any kind of oils and meats and stuff like that. They have a lot of fat in them. And it would take those large fat droplets and chop them up into small little droplets. But this is still considered physical digestion. It's not chemical digestion here because it's not making those chemicals, it's not taking those large fat droplets and making them into molecules. That's chemical digestion. Physical digestion is just when it makes the food into smaller pieces. Okay? So there is no chemical digestion going on here. With the gallbladder is this small little, basically a balloon, a sac, and you can see it right here. It's a green sac, and that actually is filled up with bile. Okay, so once the liver actually makes that bile, it fills that gallbladder up with bile, so it can be stored and used later. Okay, so your description of your organ would be one small 1-inch sac behind the liver. Okay, and they're obviously paired up together, and they work together in order to help with the bile. Okay, and then, like I said, the gallbladder stores bile from the liver, and then the bile is actually, what happens with the bile is it's secreted into the small intestine. Okay, it's not something we actually talked about before. So what happens is when the food comes out of the stomach and into the small intestine, the bile is secreted out of the gallbladder, it's squirted into there, and any of the large fat droplets that are coming into the small intestine are getting broken down into smaller fat droplets. Okay, so that's the basics behind the liver and the gallbladder. Okay, now with the pancreas. The pancreas is a really big piece of digestion. Okay, this is where a lot of chemical digestion occurs. Okay, so the description of the pancreas, first off, is a 6-inch long, spongy, kind of, it's almost like a gland, a lot like the salivary gland. All right, and it sits behind the stomach. Okay, so this right here is the pancreas, sits behind the stomach, and it actually sits on top of the intestines, if you can picture the intestines right underneath here. Okay, and it secretes, let's talk about physical digestion first. It secretes this bicarbonate to neutralize stomach acid. Bicarbonate is kind of a foreign word, so the way you want to think about this is it secretes a base, all right? And the reason that it wants to secrete that base into the small intestine is because it wants to neutralize that acid that's coming from the stomach. All right, so say we had that acid getting squirted into the small intestine. That small intestine can't handle that acid. All right, so it would burn a hole right through the middle of that small intestine. Okay, so in order to counteract that, the pancreas takes the bicarbonate. Where's my cursor? Ah, there it is. Okay. It takes the bicarbonate and squirts it in there, and it kind of makes it like more of like a watery environment. Okay. So it really neutralizes that stomach acid. And this, because this happens, the enzymes that we're going to talk about next, the proteinase, the starchase, and the lipase, they can all work properly. All right. In a really acidic environment, enzymes can't work very well at all. All right. So that's a really necessary environment in the small intestine for those to work properly. Okay. So let's check out the chemical digestion. This is proteinases, starchases, and lipases. You can see again the ASE at the end of each of these. All right, indicates that it's an enzyme. And then with the different types of macromolecules that are getting broken down with this. I keep on losing my arrow. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. So the proteinases, obviously, they break down proteins. They're enzymes that break down proteins. The starchases are enzymes that digest starches. Okay? And then the lipases are enzymes that break down fats, or the way we would call them with a macromolecule would be lipids, like the phospholipid bilayer. Okay? So this is the basic idea. It's proteins, starches, and lipids, they're all broken down in the small intestine. Okay? And the pancreas actually helps produce those enzymes that help break down those starches. The idea behind this, though, with chemical digestion is that these are small pieces of food that are getting broken down into molecules, okay? No longer pieces of food. They're molecules of food, okay? So they're getting broken down into smaller molecules of protein and starches and lipases. Okay, now I think that is all we have to do. Okay, so this has been, I don't know, just a few minutes session. If you have questions tomorrow, please let me know. And this was fun. Maybe we can do it again. Thanks.